Yes, an island is a place which cannot exist of itself, but that is the exact reason why it can be isolated. Rather like people, to be isolated we need everyone else around. Just as the mountain needs the plain for its existence, so the island needs the sea. Except that with the last pair, 3 of the 4 elements which make up the cosmos already coexist: earth, water, and air. The missing element, fire, shows by its very absence that an island is inconceivable, is incomplete, has something missing without the presence of human beings. The more desert an island, the more it challenges human beings it has already called to them, because it must be recognized as a desert island. It can exist only through that characterization. Actually, somebody has to call it a desert island. A land can be a desert land, but this is metaphor. An island can be a desert island, but this is literal. And here is a proposition which will doubtless sound strange: an island can be many things, but first and foremost it is a construction of language. As soon as someone mentions Makronisos or Eura, they have, at their immediate disposal, in the universe of the Greek language, a source of countless narratives, real and imaginary. The same applies as soon as Mykonos is mentioned. And in these islands, in these Aegean islands, pain and pleasure already play their own song. In other words, an island is a literal concept bursting out into numberless metaphors. Daniel Defoe wrote in the 17th century of the adventures of Robinson Crusoe. A lone shipwreck sailor, with all the accumulated experience of the civilization he carries, will construct the world from start. In the second half of the 19th century, Verne wrote The Mysterious Island. In this story, a group of people will dominate nature thanks to the inventiveness of an engineer and indefatigable work by the whole group to eventually discover the chief engineer, who gives the meaning to the island and solves the mystery which surrounds it. In the former book, Robinson is the hero. In the latter, the protagonist is the island itself, which, however, finds meaning. In the one, in the subject which it is hiding in its bowels. In the title of his book, Verne defined once and for all the predestination of the island, mystery. For Aristotle, for example, borders are defined by the shape which surrounds the contents. For the Stoics, however, this definition is inadequate because it only applies to static entities. If the entity is dynamic, how do we define the borders? From this standpoint, how are the borders of a forest determined? If we do not limit it, or it is not limited by nature, a forest is able to take over the whole earth. From the moment that an island has borders, without having frontiers, it somehow resembles the universe, which has borders, yet has no end. The island is a miniature universe. Perhaps this is the reason why the island is a whole world in itself. In The Children of Captain Grant, there is an impressive passage in which Verne combines praise of the sea with the literary and ambivalent character of the island. The weather is good and lends itself to conversation on the elegant pleasure yacht Duncan as it voyages in search of Captain Grant. The words are those of the geographer Paganel. The sea, repeated Paganel, is the particular field in which the powers of humankind are put to the test, and the ship is the real vehicle of civilization. Only think, my friends. If the earth were only one great continent, we would not know even 1,000th part of it in the 19th century. 1,000 miles of desert divide people more thoroughly than 500 miles of ocean. We are neighbors across one coast to another, but strangers when a forest divides us. England touches Australia, while Egypt, for example, seems 1,000,000 miles from Senegal, and Peking, at the further antipodes, from St. Petersburg. During the conversation the subject shifts to the subject of islands, following the unexpected inquiry of Lady Helen, who wonders whether there are still any Robinsons. But madam, replies Paganel, do you not believe that someone could be happy on a desert island? Lady Helen's final answer reconciles society with literature, on condition that the latter will serve the former. I don't believe it. Human beings are made for society, not for solitude. Loneliness can only breed despair. It's a matter of time. Perhaps at first the difficulties of material existence and the necessities of life may distract the unfortunate creature who has just been saved from the waves. Perhaps present necessities will conceal future threats. Perhaps. But later, when he feels alone, far from his fellow creatures, hopeless of ever seeing his native land and the people he loves ever again, I wonder what he will think and how much he will suffer. His little island is his entire world. The whole of humankind is contained within himself. And when death comes, so dreadful, in that solitude, he will be like the last man on the last day of the world. Believe me, Monsieur Paganel, no one would want to be that man.